Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is the Hoodoo Butterfly and I'm here to bring you another video. This video will be the start of the series that I am introducing called Ancestors. I decided to do this series so that I can guide other people and teach them what I have been taught and what I've been learned regarding my journey with African spirituality. And ancestors have become a huge part of my life, not just communicating with them, but also veneration, which means to honor and to give thanks. So this video is pretty much going to cover who ancestors are, but this series will cover the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, why, and how. And later on, we'll do more videos, probably live videos, Q&As, for those who have questions, and it'll eventually become a playlist so that whenever you have a question or you're seeking information about ancestors and who they are and what their purpose is, you can click on the playlist and hopefully I can provide all the answers for you. I try to keep my videos to a certain time because you're all really busy, but I also make sure to include all of the information that I can possibly communicate with you guys, and that's pretty much it for this first video. This first video is going to cover who ancestors are. Now, when I say who, it's about not so much knowing who they are, like knowing their names. It's about ancestors in the Black community. For the Black community, ancestors mean bloodline. Well, actually, I made a mistake. Ancestors are not just for the Black community. I'm teaching on African spirituality that I've learned. However, ancestors are a part of your bloodline. They're a part of your, pretty much your genetic makeup, and they're part of your lineage. So anybody who's a person, you have ancestors. You have ancestors that have your good intent at heart. You have ancestors who could have been witches, could have been shamans, they could have been teachers, it could have been anything that they did when they were here. We don't know exactly all the time what their role was, but the main thing is that ancestors are whoever is from your bloodline or your lineage. In my personal story, my bloodline and those whom I dedicate my altar to are the ancestors who protect me, the ones who look out for me, the ones who teach me and guide me. And I have ancestors in my lineage who are witches, who were shamans, and who practice voodoo, who practice hoodoo, and who practice Santeria. And that's just my personal story. But for someone else, regardless of your ethnicity, if you're watching this video, you have ancestors that they could have practiced what mines did, or they could have practiced something else. Ancestors is just your bloodline, your lineage, and most importantly, your ancestors are your family. And sometimes they can be better family to you than the family around you that you can physically see. I say that to say because when I first heard about having ancestors that looked out for me and were trying to communicate with me, I didn't understand what it meant, and I didn't really know what I was being told. I didn't get it. I grew up with the modern Christianity that we know of today in America, where they demonize lots of practices that they don't understand. So for me, finding out that I had ancestors who were watching out for me, and who were protecting me, and who were guiding me, and who pretty much were around me my entire life, but I never had the spiritual knowledge to know that when I was younger, it was a big deal because I learned how to communicate with them, and I learned more about what purpose ancestors serve for the future generations, people like me and people like you. And it can be any age. You can have ancestors that transitioned when they were young, or you can have ancestors that lived a full, long life who transitioned when they were 90. For me, I have ancestors of various ages, and I'll get more into how do you learn more about your ancestors later on in the series. For now, I'm just going to cover who they are. So, with that being said, ancestors are always from your bloodline and from your lineage. And I was told that if you were adopted, that family who adopted you, those ancestors also become your ancestors also. So, another part of this first video describing who ancestors are is the question I want to answer: did I know any of my ancestors before they passed? And the answer is no. I can psychically see my ancestors through my third eye. Now, when I first found out about my ancestors, I had no idea who they were. And now, after maybe it's been about almost 2 years now since I've opened up to, that aspect of African spirituality or spirituality in general, I have gotten to know them. But no, I did not know my ancestors before they passed, because many of them, we weren't alive at the same time. I'm only 26 and I was born in 1996. So my ancestors naturally were born many years before me. So no, I didn't know them before they passed. And I have an altar for my ancestors, but unfortunately I don't have any photos of them because my family history is a little interesting, but I don't have photos of them. But psychically, I can see my ancestors and I can see their characteristics. I can see their clothing. I can see the hair, I can see the eye color. Like, I can tell you exactly what my uncles look like, what my aunts look like. And that's actually a very fun part of opening up to the ancestors, because you start to realize and you start to comprehend and make peace with the fact that they are your family. So it's more so of, yeah, those are my family. Those are my relatives. And I've gotten to know them through that way. But you don't always have to know them to communicate with them or for them to assist you. Your ancestors know who you are before you know who they are. They know things about you that you might not even understand about yourself. And that's been a very, very important part of me developing a relationship with them. But like I said, I wasn't open to it in the beginning because it was like rocket science to me. I had never heard of that before I learned about it and it was brought to my attention. But there's no requirement to know them before they passed. And then for some people, there might be like a young woman or young man watching this, and you might have an uncle that passed away when you were a kid. And for all I know, he might be looking out for you because he's definitely an ancestor to you once he passed. Anybody who passes in your bloodline is an ancestor. That being said, with honoring your ancestors, pretty much the advice that I've been given and that I've been following is to honor your ancestors who have your good intent and your good interests at heart. I say that to say that we all have ancestors that live different lives, and when you dedicate an altar or a space to someone, you must make sure that the person is of good intent. So when you make an altar, which I'll discuss how to make an altar later, I'm just making sure that those who watch the video understand your ancestors who have your good intent at heart. Those are the ones who protect you, who guide you, and who look out for you. It's not so much about knowing their names, knowing where they were from. Don't get into like all of the specifics because it might take some time for you to learn them, in my case. Or you might be very fortunate and you might have pictures of like your great aunts, your great great grandparents, stuff like that. But for the most part, your ancestors who have your good intent and your good interests at heart, those are the ones who protect you and who guide you and who teach you and who look out for you. Those are the ancestors who you honor and give thanks to, because you wouldn't be here without them. Just to give an example, like one of my ancestors who I dedicate my altar to, he is a cousin of mine, and he's fairly young, and I don't know all of his story, but I do know that he's an ancestor who has my good intent at heart. And he'll guide me and he'll show me things, and he also helps me with dating matters. Like if I'm not sure about like this guy, like he'll tell me like, no, he's a good guy, or he'll tell me, no, he's not a good guy. That's just one of my ancestors. And then I have an ancestor who's an uncle, and he always tells me that I don't need to be afraid of certain things because I've struggled with fear a lot. And in getting to know him, like one example of honoring your ancestors is putting a glass of water out, or even a glass of wine, whatever beverage they like. But I have an uncle who likes coffee. Not cream, not sugar, none of that in his coffee, just straight black coffee. So in the mornings, now that I have my own place, I wake up in the mornings and I make him a cup of coffee. But things like that come with time, and it gets pretty fun actually, because you get to understand why you have personal characteristics, because sometimes your ancestors had those same things. I don't particularly like black coffee, but I'm pretty sure I have men in my family who do, and it's a trait that carried over beyond my generation. So things like that are pretty cool. And what my ancestors have done for me, I'm only saying this because I want people to like understand. My ancestors have done a lot for me. They have protected me, they have taught me, they have corrected me, and they have warned me of people, places, and things that were not for my highest good. Because somebody will be standing right in your face, lying to you, trying to con you, try to trick you. And once you open up spiritually to be able to communicate with your ancestors, they will tell you that person is A, B, C, D. And they will make it very, very clear who to trust and who not to trust. So that has been a great benefit of finding out who my ancestors were and learning how to trust them. Because in the beginning, I can't say that I trusted them completely because I didn't know them. So the trust came with time and with opening up. So all of that stuff I'll share on my YouTube, because I have different stories that I'm going to make sure that I teach and that I share here on this platform so that other people can understand. And like I said, regardless of ethnicity, we all have ancestors that are looking out for us. I hope everybody does, but it's my personal belief at this time in my life that yes, we are gracious enough to have ancestors who help us from many different angles, from many different places that we might not even understand how they even survived, but they did it. And they're here to help you and teach you and convince you to believe in yourself and to believe in your power and to know that you really can do it and that they're helping you every step of the way. My ancestors are amazing, and they tell me very often how they have my back, how I'm protected, and how everything's going to be fine. Even when my anxiety tries to take over, it's really hard, but the ancestors come through with a message like, don't forget you can do this, don't forget you can do that. And then there are times like this where I'll eventually show my face and stuff. Right now my hair is like in a crazy bun, but you'll like feel emotions that sometimes aren't yours. Like I felt tears to my eyes when I was saying certain things, but that's because there's an ancestor who appreciates the story that I'm sharing on this platform, and they appreciate being thanked, being appreciated. So yeah, that's definitely pretty much the basis of who ancestors are. And I hope that I covered everything. So if not, you can always drop a question in the comment box. And if somebody was interested in finding out, okay, well, how do I communicate with my ancestors? Or I've never heard about this before, this is great. Or I've heard about this before, but I've never really had information. The best thing to do before you do anything else, before you go try to make an altar, before you go try to do this or that, just a simple thank you to my ancestors who have my good intent at heart. Thank you to my ancestors who protect me. That goes a long way. So if anything, you can even say it a few times a day or even just once a day. Thank you to my ancestors who have my back, who protect me, and who have my good intent at heart. Thank you goes a long way. So I hope that I covered everything that needed to be said in this video. Like I said, this will be a series dedicated to ancestors and veneration and all that stuff. it won't always just be like a video. Like sometimes I'll have like pictures and stuff so I can actually show you all how to make an altar, how do you dedicate a glass of water, how do you offer them a meal, all of that good stuff. Like I'll show you what burning ancestor money, is about, so that you guys aren't like fiddling around in the dark trying to figure it out, because that's the worst. We all need light. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So the next video will be called What, and it'll be the second W of the 5 W's, the who, what, when, where, and why. And it'll be more so about what ancestors have done in their lives and things like that. I'm still working out the details, but I hope that you all have enjoyed this video, and I hope that it blesses whoever it comes across, and I hope that you all know that you were meant for so much more. And thank you for watching my channel. Once again, leave a comment if you like it. If you don't, hopefully you like it, and you can leave questions and comments and all that stuff, and I'll definitely make sure to get back to you. And thank you for viewing, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.